home birth happens, whether it's assisted or not. And it's pretty common to give birth in a hospital or medical setting. Some might even choose to go to a birth center. What about an unplanned accidental home birth? Someone in my area approached me about their unplanned accidental home birth. In such a small town, I was super surprised that I had never heard of their story before. Of course, it was in the paper, and Lenore is the smallest town ever. Everyone knows everyone, but I still hadn't heard of this. On July 2nd at 7:43 a.m., Jacob Lee Spicer was born into the hands of his grandma on his mom's kitchen floor. He was born quickly and safely in the comfort of Natalee Spicer's home. Every birth is unique in its own way. We can have certain plans for how we might want our birth to go and certain expectations, but maybe birth doesn't always go to plan. Regardless, it's really good to have birth plans and preferences. It's good to be aware of everything that could happen, no matter where you're giving birth. I really think it's important to explore all birthing options and to be educated on everything. I loved how the birth story was written in the paper. It was very simply and well put. A person just gave birth in their kitchen, and I thought that was super cool because the headline just said like birth. It was just her birth story. The way that birth stories are told is super important. Sharing unsolicited advice and an experience coming from an uneducated place is different than a traumatic birth. Sharing something to scare someone out of something is not okay. So please, if someone that you know is about to give birth, keep all negative comments aside. Birth is normal and it happens. Maybe even sometimes in your kitchen. I want to share Natalee's interview with you all and her birth story. Thank you for watching.
Hey everybody, I live in Lenore, North Carolina. I am from Florida. I will be 30 in July and I am a mother of 4. With my last pregnancy and my last baby, I was in and out of the hospital from 4 months to, 9 months till I had him. And my due date was June 30th. I already had my last baby within the past year, and his birthday was in July. So I feared the worst and prayed every single day that I would not have my last baby on his brother's birthday. Well, needless to say, I went into labor at home. I did not know I was in labor. I had been in the hospital the previous Wednesday. I went into labor on Saturday. I was in the hospital Wednesday night. I got out of the shower and I thought my water broke. Was in the hospital for about 4 to 5 hours to hear them tell me that I was just peeing on myself. And I was just like, you're crazy, it's not true, whatever. So I went home. It's Jeremiah's first birthday. And it's about, I'd say about 5:45. And I'm just having these hardcore contractions, and because I had just got out of the hospital, I was like, I'm not going back. I'm so tired of them telling me, there's nothing wrong with you, this is normal, go home. With my first 3 pregnancies, I was induced. With my first one, I had her at 34 weeks. Her lungs weren't developing, and they did an amniosis, and within a week later, I was having her. She turned out perfect. She was 5 pounds, 4 ounces. My second pregnancy, I was induced the day after his due date, so he was like perfect full term. With my third child, I had the worst breast and Hicks, went through a lot of depression. I was always stressed, I feared, I cried a lot. I went into labor right after working at McDonald's. I was working full time, 40, 55 hours a week. I got home and I was making them lunch, and I went into labor, and they induced me at 37 weeks with Jeremiah. So when I went into labor at home, I didn't think I was actually in labor. I was just like, this is normal, these are just preterm labor pains. I was in labor. I got out of the shower And within 5 minutes of trying to bend over and get in the very bottom drawer, which had my husband's t-shirts in it, and they were the biggest thing and the only thing that could fit me, I bent over and I had the hardest contraction ever. 7 o'clock, everybody in my house was getting up. We were all waking up. I had tossed and turned on the couch the whole 2 hours that I was in labor. Once my husband was awake, I asked him if he'd be okay with me just taking a shower, you know. Got out of the shower 10 minutes later, and in the shower I just kept saying, this doesn't feel right, this just doesn't feel right, but I'm not going. I'm just going to call and see what they say. I'm so tired of going back and forth and them just turning me away, you know. I just was scared that I was going to be by myself with all 3 of my children, and my husband worked all the time. He's self-employed, so not being able to answer the phone all the time wasn't an option for him. Machines going on in the shop, he'd be outside washing her car, etc. And my mother-in-law and I'm just not from here. I didn't have a lot of family and many friends. I screamed immediately for my husband. He came and helped me get up, and as soon as he helped me get up, I was peeing on myself. Well, my water broke. So I knew I was in labor. He immediately went and called his mom, and she lives about 5 seconds away. She's right across the street. So as soon as she got there, I was already sitting on the toilet. So I'm on the phone with the hospital, and they're telling me check myself, and I'm bleeding. They tell me not to sit on the toilet. I really couldn't move. They asked if I was able to get to the hospital, and I said, yeah, my mother-in-law's here. She's, help me, get into the car, and I'll be there in just a few minutes. They were prepping for my room. Unfortunately, by the time I got off the toilet, I had been on this toilet for about 10 minutes. I just thought I had to poop. The struggle, you feel that strain and pressure. So within 5 minutes of her being there, I was in the middle of the kitchen floor, pushing the baby out. I was very hot, sweaty. I couldn't walk. By the time I got to the kitchen floor, the tile was the coldest thing in my house. And I was like, this is it. I can't walk anymore. I was scared. I couldn't even go down my 4 or 5 steps that we have outside our house. So I just laid down on the tile, and I opened my legs, and I closed them back. And I said, okay, she's on the phone. My mother-in-law's on the phone with the EMTs. She's calling them. They're telling her to try her hardest to stop my labor.